I hope that you're settling in and understanding how the assignment process goes and understanding how Blackboard board works and are being able to keep up with the work. I do want to say that one of the problems with online classes is people tend to put them off, thinking that if they're not really present, they don't have to physically be somewhere. It gets easier to put in the back of your mind, and that's where most people get in trouble with grades for online assignments. So please, 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 I would recommend setting a specific time every week where you really dedicate to getting your work done for this class. What we're going to do this week is we're just going to kind of pick apart what stress is. And in doing that, I'm actually going to have you be watching a video, but during the video, I'm actually going to have you do some of your own brainstorming. So what I'd like you to do is get out a piece of paper, and I will give you instructions as we go, but I just want you to brainstorm all over the piece of paper of what words for you symbolize stress. And again, I'll give you more instructions when we go through that next video. But we're just going to pick it apart so we understand what stress is. I mean, this is a stress management class, but honestly, most people that come into a stress management class don't really have a good definition of what stress is. And then if we do give a good definition of what stress is, it's still that kind of book definition, and it doesn't really take into account the experience, and the experience of stress is what stress really is. If that makes any sense, it'll make more sense as we go along. So that's the first piece. The second piece is your assignment for this week is going to be posted in the folder. It's not based on reading. This is one of the few assignments that's not actually in your book. And what I'm going to ask you to do is do several different stress scales and that are intended to measure your stress. Now, I don't give them to you for that reason. Nobody else can tell you how stressed out you are. I give them to you because you can learn a lot. I give them to you for critical thinking. What I want you to do is take the scales, but then I want you to think for yourself. Are they accurate or are they not accurate? Can I learn something from them? I once had a student that her overall stress scale said she was very low stress, but she felt like she was falling apart. Why was that? Because she actually looked at where the answers were concentrated, and she realized that all the answers were concentrated all around her work. And so then it was like, oh my gosh, that visual was a really big lesson for her, because what she learned from that video was the rest of her life was pretty stress-free. And if she felt like she was falling apart because of stress and it was really only concentrated in her work area, she needed to make some more serious decisions around either whether she was going to keep that job or how she engaged in that job. So it was a really important lesson for her, but it wasn't necessarily the number that she got from doing that scale. So I'm asking you to do 3 different scales. And then there are some questions. And again, the questions for the assignments are not meant to be asked verbatim. They're always about just kind of leading your thinking. I want you to think about the difference in the scales. They're very, very, very different scales. One scale is what we call a life events scale, and sometimes another scale is a daily hassles scale, and then another scale is time pressure scales. And whatever scale you rate highest is also some information. If you're rating highest on the life events scale, maybe you just need to be nice to yourself right now and make it through the best you can with some self-care. If you're rating higher on the time issues scale, then maybe time management is more of an issue for you. But it just kind of helps you to discern where your stress is, whether those scales are accurate for you. So they're an important part of the class, but they're not necessarily meant to just measure your stress the way it looks like I'm assigning them. I want you to have a whole different experience of doing those scales than it might look like. So that's the second thing. That is going to be your assignment. You turn in a reflection on those scales. I don't need the scales turned in, but what I want you to do is kind of go over those questions, and I want you to write that 1-page, single-space typed reflection all about what you learned from the scales. And again, there are some questions that kind of lead your writing on that. So the activities for part 2, you will watch the content video on what is stress. You will complete your assigned readings. You will take the content quiz. You will watch the stress scales intro video that will tell you exactly why I want you to do the scales and what I want you to look for. And then you will post your assigned reflection on the stress scales reflection. And have a good time. Hi, everyone.